No. All right, so look, George Washington, if he says this, look, if you don't like the powers in the Constitution, there's a way to change it. He says, if in the opinion of the people, the distribution or the modification of constitutional powers, which we just talked about, if be in any particular wrong, let it be corrected by an amendment in the way which the Constitution, Article 5, designates. But let there be no change by, big word, usurpation. It means wrongful seizure of power. For though this in one instance may be the instrument of good, it is the customary weapon by which free governments are destroyed. And yet, watch this, Jefferson was prophetic. I mean, he wasn't very religious, probably wasn't saved, but man, look at this. Jefferson said, look at this, to consider the judges, the judicial branch, as the only deciders of all constitutional questions is a very dangerous doctrine indeed, and one which would place us under the tyranny of an oligarchy, rule by 9 justices, rule by few. The Constitution has erected no such single tribunal. And yet, what do you all hear in school? What do you all hear constantly? Oh, the independence of the judiciary, yes, they are the only deciders of constitutional questions. Watch what Jefferson said. He hypothesized if this ever happened, the Constitution on this hypothesis is a mere thing of wax in the hands of the judiciary, which they may twist and shape into any form they please. Has anybody heard of a living constitution? Yeah. Has anybody heard of an evolving constitution? It's up to us justices who are academically trained at Harvard to tell you what the Constitution means. Yeah. You little peons don't know. Right? I mean, they're twisting and shaping the Constitution in any form they please. Right? That's not cool. And then, watch this, Joseph's story. How do you take care of this? How do you take care of this problem? Wait, you told me that they're not elected, that they're appointed, and you said, for life, and in practicality they are now. How do we get rid of them? Something called impeachment. Oh, impeachment. You can't impeach but for high crimes and misdemeanors. Yes, in the Constitution it says you impeach them for high crimes, that's a serious crime, and misdemeanors. What are the misdemeanors? Joseph's story, commentaries on the Constitution. The offenses to which the power of impeachment has been and is ordinarily applied as a remedy are aptly termed political offenses growing out of, here he lists them. What are the misdemeanors? Personal misconduct. Justices were booted out, impeached for public drunkenness or swearing. Gone, you're gone. That's totally misconduct. Or gross neglect. Or, here's that word. Say it. What does it mean? Oh! What has happened in the last 50 years? A massive power grab by the judiciary. That's wrongful. They were impeached for this. Jefferson booted like 25 justices. Go back and read some history on getting rid of judges that were usurping power. It happened all the time. It needs to happen now. Judges need to be held accountable by their constitutionally given power of impeachment. Right? He who justifies the wicked and he who condemns the righteous, both of them alike, are an abomination to the Lord. Right? Look at what Daniel Webster said. Hold on, my friends, to the Constitution and to the Republic for which it stands. Miracles do not cluster, and what has happened once in 6,000 years may not happen again. Hold on to the Constitution. I do this one thing on the Star-Spangled Banner, but I'm kind of over time. So...
Do it.
Really?
Yeah.
You guys stay after like just an extra 5-10? Is that okay? All right. So the Star-Spangled Banner. Who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner? He actually, what? The Star-Spangled Banner, he didn't actually write the Star-Spangled Banner. He wrote something called a poem called The Defense of Fort McHenry. That poem became our national anthem. Why did he write it? So, War of 1812. We are in battle with Britain. Why? Britain, how are we doing? Was Britain like okay with the United States? What had just happened a few decades earlier? We grossly embarrassed the world superpower, right, with this peon little nation, right? Completely embarrassed them in the Declaration. So they wanted to literally take us out. 2 years into the War of 1812, 1814, they defeated Napoleon Bonaparte in Europe and said, aha, now this stalemate battle that was going on in the United States, we're going to take them out. They redirected their entire naval armada. They redirected a massive amount of their troops, landed them near Washington, D.C., and proceeded to attack our capital. Did they take it over? Who knows history? They did. They took over Washington, D.C. and did what? They burned it to the ground. Uh-oh, this isn't looking so good, right? They then proceeded a march of destruction northward, thinking, ha, we're going to take these chumps out. You know, they embarrassed us, not this time. And so they're serious. So they get up to Fort McHenry by Baltimore, and they knew Fort McHenry was the key fortification, that if they could take that fort out, America was theirs. They could then sweep forward. Well, on their march northward to Fort McHenry, they captured a young doctor called William Beans. He happened to be a friend of a young 30-year-old lawyer called Francis Scott Key. So they capture him, they take him out to the British Armada. The Armada is setting up to start their naval barrage of Fort McHenry. And on the morning of September 13th, actually one day before that, apology, Francis Scott Key says, hang on. Beans is no enemy of the British. In fact, I have letters where British soldiers and British citizens say that Beans treated them very well. So Key says, I'm going to go out and negotiate his release. So straight up, this is amazing. He gets into a dinghy, right, and he starts rowing out to the British Armada, who are getting ready to attack, right? So he's got the white flag thing going. They don't blow him out of the water. He actually gets a hearing with the general of the British Armada. And he presents the letters, and he's a good lawyer. He negotiates his release. He says, okay, fine, I agree with you. I'll release Dr. Beans. You've proven to me that he wasn't an enemy. But guess what? You ain't going nowhere, because we're about to launch a big honking attack that's going to take your little fledgling nation out. So you're staying on the ship until we're done. So the morning of September 13th, they start this high trajectory barrage of Fort McHenry. Why? Because they wanted to station their ships outside of the range of the guns of Fort McHenry, the cannons. Right? So they have these huge artillery, and they have the rocket ships, launching these red rocket glares, and these bombs were coming in. And for 24 hours straight, they wanted to level Fort McHenry. They took soldiers, they landed them during the barrage. They landed soldiers so that when the place was blown up and burnt to the ground, the soldiers would come in and take over Fort McHenry, and then they'd continue their march northward. Well, you guys know, so the morning comes around, September 13th to September 14th. Bombs going off through the night. Francis Scott Key is sitting there and he sees the Star-Spangled Banner. He sees the U.S. flag still flying throughout the whole day during this barrage and throughout the night, right? He sees by the rocket's red glare. Is this ringing a bell? Right, everybody with me? So he sees this stuff and he gets stirred up, and all of a sudden the shelling stops. And in the dawn's early light, this morning is just coming up, and he can't see the flag anymore. And he says, because there's this mist, there's all this smoke and the mist of the morning, and he says, well, I don't know if it's there. And he gets so stirred up, he pulls out an envelope. On the back of an envelope, whips out a pen and starts writing this poem. Oh, say, can you see? Right? By the dawn's early light, once so proudly we once hailed by the twilight's last gleaming. It ends in a question mark. You guys, the stanza that you all know and love and sing at ball games and all these things, are you aware it ends in a question mark? He couldn't see it. He says, oh, say, does that Star-Spangled Banner yet wave o'er the home of the free and the land of the brave? Question mark. Does anybody know how many other stanzas of the poem he wrote? Come on. 4. There were, well, yes, 3 others. Is that what you meant? There were 4 total stanzas. So the first one is the one you all sing. And I dare say the one you only know. But he wrote 3 others. Okay? And I'm going to attempt to give you a little grace. I'm going to sing this 4th stanza. How many times does he reference God in this 4th stanza? And how does it end? Does it end in a question mark? Oh, thus be it ever, when free men shall stand between their loved home and the war's desolation. Blessed with victory and peace, may the heaven-rescued land praise the power that hath made and preserved us a nation. Then conquer we must when our cause it is just, and this be our motto: in God is our trust. Can I get an amen? And the Star-Spangled Banner in triumph shall wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Exclamation! There's no question mark, right? In triumph, the Star-Spangled Banner. 4 references to God. 4 references to God, right? Anybody says, oh, that's not our motto, and God is our trust. Really? Right? This is 1814 he wrote this. It was our motto. It's been our motto from the start. In God is our trust. One nation under God. I exhort you, if you have any influence whatsoever in the singing of our Star-Spangled Banner, start singing the most important stanza and not the one that ends in a question mark. Or if you do sing the one that ends in a question mark, at least follow it up with the 4th one. Amen? Yeah, fire up. Raise your hand if you've ever heard the 4th stanza of our national anthem. Raise your hand. Look around the room. There's like about 15 people. That is insane, right? Think about it. All you know is the one that ends in a question mark. Please, if you have any influence, sing the 4th stanza. If you only sing one, it should be the 4th. And I submit to you that's blazing historical revisionism. That has been lost. That has been lost in our culture, our heritage, right? So part 1 conclusion. Christianity played a significant role in education, government, and society throughout history until recently. Our nation's founders viewed Christianity as the foundation on which all of it rests. Our Constitution was made only for a religious and moral people. And then look at this. The First Amendment has been misinterpreted, and Christian morality has been extracted from schools, government, and public life by a series of poor legal decisions made by activist judges, not by Article 5. You want to change the Constitution? You want a secular society? They provided a way to do it. It was Article 5, pass an amendment. But that's not the way it's been changed, is it? It's by judicial usurpation of power. So I'm going to take some questions. We're going to do a little question and answer. And while I'm doing question and answer, it would be a huge blessing. I know several of you said you're not going to be able to come tomorrow. If you would prayerfully consider how you could fund Prepare the Way Ministries. You can write a check out to Prepare the Way, or cash, or there's even credit card slips out by our table out there. But please pray about how to, and they're going to take an offering, and that's very gracious. Thank you all at Calvary Chapel. You guys have been a huge, huge blessing. Hey, thank you. You all have been a huge blessing to to me and the ministry, and I'm honored to be here. So thank you for allowing that. But I want to also pass around a clipboard. If you would like to get on our Prepare the Way email list, we only send out a couple emails, but raise your hand if you're here because you got an email. Raise your hand. Oh, cool. So I got several of you. So if you want to be on the Prepare the Way email list, I only give like 1 or 2 a week. I'm going to hand these around. But if you don't want to be in the email list, don't put your email here, okay? Just pass it